Everybody ready? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, so I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to go a little out of sync here. We're going to, with your permission, move the school board and the playing fields up to just after we get done with our awards. So with that, we have the minutes of February 13th.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the select board meeting on February 13th.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, we have warrants 18, 18P, and Conservation Commission number 5.
I'll move that we approve warrants 18, 18P, and Conservation Commission number 5.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Warrant 18 is for $1,715,602.77. And of that, $544,409 is going to BUHS. And 1 million, this is good practice for town meetings, $1,142,883.54 is going to the Dummerston School. And the change from that is going to the second half of the allocations and appropriations that were made last town meeting. So the second portion of, the Recreation Board and the Farmland Protection and the Conservation Commission, all of those. And then we have Highway Department repairs and service. We have some gravel, fuel, and road salt. So, any other discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So now we're going to have Christina Naylor, school board, come up. And this is hopefully the culmination of a long-running...
I will miss you all.
Well, you're welcome to come.
I bet you can.
Yeah. You might want to consider running for select board. Actually, it's probably a lot
In all your extra
a
time.
lot easier
Well, I may
than
have
being on
some
the
extra
school
time.
board.
Who knows? I may not be needed on the school board. So our board signed the deed last night. We had a special meeting last night. There was a unanimous vote from the community, from the electorate, to authorize us to sign the deed, which we did last night. Lori has a signed deed in her possession today. We also met on Monday about the lease agreement with those few changes. Nobody had an issue. It all sounded hunky-dory, and the board is authorizing to sign the lease as well. So we could do that tonight. I know you have a very busy schedule. If you all want to wait another week so we can wait until another meeting, it's fine with me.
I'll make a motion that we sign the lease agreement, purchase and sales agreement with the school.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're ready to sign.
So I realize that some of the dates are not in here, so I have to do the for July 1. July 1st.
July.
Great thought. July.
So a little background, if you haven't been following this, the school board and others in the community were concerned with Act 46 about control of the playing fields over at the elementary school in East Dummerston. And the school board approached us with the idea of the town buying the playing fields from the school board and then leasing them back to the school board as a way of keeping more local control of the playing fields.
So, you have authorized your board to sign, and I have been authorized to sign. We've lost Lori to the school board meeting tonight, and we don't have a notary. So we could find some mutually agreeable time to have Lori notarize our signatures.
Okay.
Terrific. So we'll work that out offline. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Good luck.
Good luck.
No photo opportunity, huh?
We'll have one that we can put into the views
Okay,
with Zeke and I with big,
Okay.
long feathered
We'll
pens
hold
or
up a
something.
lease.
Thanks,
And
guys.
or check, right?
Yeah, great.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're buying the fields for $10, but we're leasing them back for $20, I think. So, I think. All right, then. Okay, well, that was quick. Is anyone here for anything that's not on the agenda? Okay. So then, Sam Farwell sent us a letter, and is Sam Farwell here?
Yes.
Right here.
All right, so, Sam, you're on.
Perfect timing.
All right, that was quick. We run a tight ship here.
You run a very tight ship.
Sam has for those of you that don't know, Sam has, where I have a tradition of being fairly concise and brief, Sam goes in another direction. So we're trying to make time here.
I appreciate that introduction, Zeke.
Yep.
So, I represent the Green Mountain Conservancy, which is a newly formed or newly reorganized nonprofit in Dummerston. We've learned a lot of this already, but for the sake of the meeting, I'll do a brief recap. We're asking for a letter of support from the Select Board because we have applied to the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board for funding to purchase a parcel of land in the northwest corner of town owned by
Wait. Okay, owned by?
Alex Wilson and his brother.
Okay. So, at this point, it might be good to recuse yourself.
Even though there's no vote, we're not
I
voting.
think we might get to that point.
And so I shouldn't even be in the discussion, I should go out of
Not,
it.
not
No, you could be in the, you could be on the discussion, but on that side of the
Yeah.
table. You don't have to leave the room. You just right, just go to the other side of the table.
I would go sit over there.
That is the way,
Yeah.
the way it is supposed to be done.
All right.
Yeah,
I would like to recuse myself from this discussion, this issue.
all right.
Being
Come on over.
Geraldine Wilson.
Come on over to the friendly side.
All right. Thank you.
Owned by Alex Wilson and his brother. They
come
said,
all the way back.
Applying for funds to the State Housing and Conservation Board. And that application, rightly so, one of the not strictly required but strongly suggested documentations is a letter of support from the Select Board, which you may obviously word any way you want. I've drafted a possible one and it's going to be tweaked, but there's the only thing they're looking for is that there's no issue with that parcel being purchased and conserved. The reason we are doing this is because obviously the core group of the newly formed board are people who know the parcel well and have seen it has been protected by the owners for the last 80 years or so, and has been a wonderful place of undeveloped land. And being a ridge top down to partway down the mountain, very steep slopes, seems like a very it's been very appropriate that it's not been developed, and we want to keep it that way into the future. And the reason we're doing it now is because the opportunity presented itself. Not just that this parcel is on the market, but that an adjoining parcel on the Newfane side that is twice as big is also on the market. And we are in discussion with that landowner as well. So we're very excited that as you can see on the map, I don't know if either any of you want the printed maps that I emailed you, but this outlines the parcel itself. And yellow shaded areas are represent the land at the parcel in Newfane. And then there's additional land that would be conserved. Phase 1 associated conserved parcels are private land. Pass these around. Private land that the landowners are offering to put conservation easements on as basically leverage to make the whole area conserved and make the grant more appealing. So with the privately owned conserved parcels and the two purchased parcels, we could have as much as 1,200 acres all contiguous, and that to us is a very compelling conservation project. Of course, it would span over 3 towns, so the next phase will be a lot of activity in Newfane. We do have a letter of support from the select board in Brookline, because a small portion of the parcel is in Brookline. We have a letter of support from the Dummerston Conservation Commission. And so I would love to hear any concerns, answer any questions. And all I ask that if you could please take action on this, and if you find that it is not something that you want to approve or support, that you make clear the reasons so that we can address that in the future. We're quite excited about this project. We think it's probably not going to go away regardless of what you do tonight. Because of the 2 large parcels, the parcels themselves are 287 acres, and the adjoining one in Newfane is 630. So we're over 900 acres just with those 2 purchases. And we've received a lot of support from Vermont Land Trust, who's working with us, but they will be doing the conservation easements. Neighboring organizations, the Bunny Mountain Association, Windmill Pinnacle Hill Association, the Nature Conservancy is very interested in what we're doing, and the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board staff themselves are very supportive. So I could go on, as you know. There's lots of reasons for why, beyond what I've said, for why we are excited about this project, but I'd like to hear from you, or if you just want to go straight to action.
I can say my little part. Want me to-
Mary Ellen is another board member of the Mountain Conservancy.
Yes.
I just wanted-
Mary Ellen Copeland.
No, most briefly. So, number one, we're not asking for any money from you. We want to make clear that no money. I wanted to, some things that I've heard, and one is that some of you are concerned that we might have hunting policies that would make that parcel, which is well known for being a great place to hunt, inaccessible to hunters, or that the game warden might be making decisions about who would hunt there. And I want to reassure you, we want hunting on a parcel. There's far too many deer for the carrying capacity of the land, and they're eating the hardwood, maple and oak sprouts as soon as they come out of the ground, and they're effectively preventing regeneration. So we need less deer. That means more hunting. We were advised by Fish and Game that hunting with permission designation was the one we should use, and so we were going with that. But I contacted the Nature Conservancy to see what they would say, and they said they tried this hunting with permission and found it to be too unwieldy. So we'll continue to work on that, but we would like to hear from you, what would you like it to be up there? If we end up with hunting with permission, the Green Mountain Conservancy, us and there were 3 of us on the board. We had a board meeting, and we have 2 more people on the board now. Mike Fletcher is on the board now, and Deb Luskin. And so those are the people who would be determining who would hunt on the property. Actually, Deb Luskin is one of the few people, I think there's 3 people that have hunted up there in the last several years, and mostly it's been Deb Luskin. So we need a lot more hunters. It's really, we really realize that that's a big issue. So if there's any question about hunting, we want you to hunt there.
Well, you want hunters there, but you put signs up, and like I talked to Sam about this last night, and actually your property is posted, Sam. It legally posted with the town of Dummerston.
That's correct.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you told me you did not, you just put them on the road to prevent people.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you told me, I was pretty sure you said it was not posted, but anyways, when you put a poster sign up, a lot of people just turn around and go somewhere else. We just go somewhere else. It's, that property is not legally posted up there now anyways. Anybody could hunt up there at any time, because it's not legally posted. You have to come to the town and actually register your property.
That's right.
There's 12 properties in Dummerston that are posted legally. So those two are not posted legally, so anybody could hunt there. But nobody does because they see a poster sign, and we respect the landowner's wishes. You don't want us to hunt there, we drive off, we go somewhere else. I mean, I hunted that land for years when I was a kid with my father. And poster signs went up, we went somewhere else. You just get pushed out of the areas. So poster signs don't do it for hunters. We just go somewhere else.
So I think the point is that we're trying to make, we're stating our intentions, but also that this grant would essentially make it a requirement.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, and how we do it, whether we put up signs or not, and we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
And we're hearing from you right now how you feel about that, and that affects us.
Right.
And that's going to affect our policy making, so we're,
The decision to post obviously was made by the current landowner.
Right, absolutely. But like I said, I'm just saying you wanted what people thought, and that's just one way I think about posters.
yeah, okay. So that's what feeds our decision-making process, the kind of thing you've just said. So if you can figure out how we can get more, that's maybe one of the answers, is some way of marking the perimeter of the property so people know where it is, but maybe without posted signs. So we'll figure that out. It's also said that this would be only a benefit to the people closest, and I guess that would be Ed and I, and Sam, and I gotta tell you that I'm getting pretty old, and my ability to get up there is decreasing, and yet I care really deeply about it. It's not for us that we're doing this, it's for future generations. We want this to be there. So that's another important point. It's a ridgeline property. In the last 20 years, we've had more severe weather events than in all of the previous recorded history. And we're concerned that any disturbance of this property needs to be carefully considered, as it's in the Connecticut River watershed. It provides water to the homes on Camp Arden Road. We have to be concerned about the water quality. Having it conserved means that it has to have a carefully contrived forest management plan developed with foresters and ecologies to lessen the impact of the storms. So we don't want when Ed and I went up there with George Weir, and he looked at the deep ravines, and he said these are the result of the big storms that happened back in the day when the land was all cleared, and we don't know what's happening into the future, and we don't want to lose that ridgeline, lose that watershed, lose it as a wildlife habitat, all the good qualities of that. There's a huge diversity right up there right now. Hector could speak to that, of wildlife, of plants and animals on the property, and we know that we need to save places with that diversity to protect species into the future. There are far too few already, and we really need to be doing that. And lastly, we envision that this will be a recreational area that will be well used really by the people of Dummerston. Some of the places that we have now are mostly used by out-of-staters, and we have a plan for a strenuous walk where people can go and have grand views, but we also want to have shorter walks where people can get in with their kids and walk along a ravine and the bubbling brook, and where they can have a picnic, and multiple waterfalls back there. There's a lot of ancient kinds of stone walls as the remains of the long ago storms. There's a porcupine co-housing facility back there that's really fun to look at. So having this kind of resource that's available to the schools, to families, to kids in Dummerston will be a great asset. So we have had 2 public meetings already. We've had big groups. The second one, I hope some of you have seen because we had it videotaped. And we plan to keep having those because it tells us what the community wants. We really want to work with people and have something that the community wants. So we want to hear from you. We want other ideas from you. This project grew out of the community when people said we really want to do this, and we'll make every effort to keep the community involved and informed. Any questions for me?
So I'll go down my list here because although I do need your advice on how to get more people to our informational meetings.
We can talk after.
So I had a long talk. Sam and I talked for close to an hour the other day, and as Raul said, I drove up there myself. But so I have a lot of concerns actually. Not that it's not a good idea. It's the way it's being presented I don't see myself getting over that hump. So, but let's just make sure I get everything in line of like. So, tell me who the board members are, what their relationships to each other are, and where they live.
Okay, I'm on the board.
Yep.
Probably in the one with Ed and Sam got this whole thing going.
Okay.
Ed and I live on contiguous property. Sam's property is it contiguous in some places?
Right here on the map.
But we are working to conserve our properties so that in the long run there'll be large areas of conservation. So there's the 3 of us. Patty Smith, who is, she came to us from the Green Mountain Conservancy. She was on their board, and so when we made that transition, she stayed, and the other people who were mostly located in another area didn't stay, so she came to us with the Green Mountain Conservancy.
Okay.
And Deb Luskin has joined the board, and she's a journalist that lives in Newfane and has an interest in this kind of thing and really got to know the property really well when she has hunted it the last couple of years. And Mike Pletcher, who lives right by the access, where the access point is, if you know where that is.
Yep.
Did you see the access point where you drove out?
I know where Mike lives, so whether I recognize that as the access point, I couldn't tell you that, but yeah.
Just past Mike's on the right, there's a gate, and that's the access point that Green Mountain Conservancy, Green Mountain Power uses to go in.
Yep.
And that's what we would use. It's part of the Wilson parcel.
So you and Ed, any other relation with you guys that's on the board?
Patty is related to me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And she just happened to come, and we just have always done this kind of work.
Okay. The 3 of you. Sam lives on the road and Mike lives on the road?
Yep.
Okay. So, and here's what I'm going. So you bought, some of this is perception, it's just simply my perception.
Yeah.
Okay, I get. So there was a large piece of land for sale up there. You guys being you and Ed bought, what, 60, 70 acres of it?
64.
Okay. So you bought 64 acres of that land, and now the other land that didn't go for sale with that is all adjacent to your 64 acres, correct? This is the land, this is 200 of the acres that you're trying to put into the conservancy.
There's 287.
Yeah. So that all adjoins your land?
Yeah.
Okay. So perception is reality, and it's just my perception, but so you got a 200 acre piece of property up there that either hasn't sold or it's off the market, or I'm not sure what the status is, and now you're asking for public endorsement to get $175,000 of the $200,000 required to buy it. Is that the correct?
That's up to them, but
That's what you're asking for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're asking for public money for $175,000 to buy the 225 acres that all
Yeah,
a bunch of
287.
287. So we all have our past and histories, but so just the perception of that to me with you, Ed, your relationship on the board, so 3 of the 6 people on the board, to me, there's a conflict of interest there. There's a perception of, well, you're getting a nice piece of property all adjoining your property, and I know you're trying to conserve it, but
But we're not going to use it.
So
well,
that's a valid. I could completely understand that perception, but I want to disabuse you of it by saying the amount of work that we've had to do just for this one application makes buying it look really attractive. It would have been so much simpler. So I think you said, why not just get 40 people and all and chip in $5,000? But the biggest piece of that is that is their high priority that they place on the public access part that when their funds are used. That's going to make it much less of a, I mean, now there will be public access into the backyard. You know, this perception of using public funds to increase your backyard. Now there's going to be,
But it's a fact.
Hunting
It's a fact.
and public access.
You can't disagree with it. It's a fact that you're
What is a
using
fact?
public funds to buy land that's adjacent to
Yes,
two of the board members'
absolutely,
property. So, okay,
absolutely.
we're just going to move on.
In the same
This will
way
take
that there
forever.
are so many residents that are
So
adjacent.
what you also have, Sam, I got it. I don't want this to go on forever. I'm going to hit my point. So then
What I
you
want to
guys
do
can have it.
is give a counterpoint.
But
that's fair.
But I've made my point, and
Yeah,
I think
and what
you
I
made
wanna
your
do-
point.
I don't
Go
quite
ahead.
get to finish my sentence.
Go ahead.
My point being that
I mean, you and I talked about this for an hour before, so maybe I am pushing you through it.
you're pushing me through it. I mean, you're bringing it up in public, so I want to just give the same response in
Yeah.
public, which is that wherever land is conserved, there are going to be abutters all around it. I mean, Green Mountain National Forest,
absolutely.
there are inholders.
Yep.
I mean, so they all look like the lucky ones in some sense. On the other hand, it's not a private landholding, and so that is the public. That's the public land, and in this case, it's privately held with a public
I agree,
public
but
criteria.
I think the
public
point that went
requirement.
by is that half of your board that's going to oversee how this land is used. Half of that board is part of that.
Sure,
and- or lives
anytime
next
there's going to
it.
be an enterprise like this, it's going to be people who see it as greatest value are going to be the ones.
Well,
closest
actually,
to it.
you mentioned, and I encouraged you in some emails today, whoever sent me an email, I think I got them. There are other agencies that have a much broader view, an objective view on the usage of land, not such a local control of the land. So I'll just go down. So we're going to go that. So then Lewis brought up the hunting. You say you're going to allow hunting by permission. I always call up the Nature Conservancy just because I ask them, because I think it's the right thing to do. I rarely get over there because I don't get out as much as I'd like to. But you post your land. It's posted right now. You guys have your land posted.
With permission, and it's not registered.
Yeah, I guess I don't know I just see the sign, so I'm like him, I wouldn't go there if I saw a posted sign. So I didn't even notice if it said with permission. I just saw your names and the date on it. Did you go up there? I didn't see
I've been up there, but yeah.
I don't know if it's permission, so.
It's all with permission.
Yeah. okay.
Most of them do say
Yeah.
permission, with
So-
That's the
permission.
signs that the fish love it.
So I guess on that, so then again, that kind of definitive control you guys have. So these are just the questions I have that, I don't know if I'm going to get answered appropriately by tomorrow. How many guys are you going to let per acre?
How many what?
How many hunters are you going to let go per acre? I saw you had a note in there, safety and egregious behavior. Who determines that? Who determines when, I call up, or Lewis calls up, or somebody else calls up? Where's the oversight? So I guess my point is this board is so inclusive of people who either live next to it or live on the property. I don't see objective oversight, and whether it happens or not, I could just see this kind of being, narrowly focused into kind of a good old boys club on, hey, we're going to let you up there because permission only.
Right.
Right.
Correct. So that's why we knew that we wanted to expand the board with new Thane residents because we'll be moving into phase 2 and looking at that new Thane parcel. And we've only started this project. I mean, the board only got organized this fall, so we're quite new to the entire game, and we've been mainly focused on this application to the state. So we're learning a lot about applying for grants. We're learning a lot about when public funds and holding land in such a way, and so we've expanded the board with at least one new Thane resident so far. The policies. We've been learning, we recently talked with the Nature Conservancy. When we learned that they no longer bother with the permission policy, we're now considering, maybe that doesn't make sense. As far as our intentions, really was only to have a sense of knowing what was going on, So it's evolving. We're not the Nature Conservancy. We haven't been doing this for decades. We would love for the Nature Conservancy to step in. They're not right now. The opportunity is now, so that's why we actually took it upon ourselves.
If they can take it over at some time, that'd be great.
Or
I think
Fish
it
and
would be
Wildlife could make it a
big.
wilderness preserve, you know. But right now, the only ones taking action are us.
Okay. And what's that, so you're on the planning commission as well, that land is right now zoned as a conservative district, conservation district? Yeah.
Yeah, conservation, yeah.
Conservative conservation. So it's already very restrictive what can be done up there.
Well, I think probably the most restrictive aspect of it is the land itself, but it's 10-acre minimum lot size.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But you've also said that it's really steep terrain and
Yeah.
not really buildable. And
Yeah, I think
so, I mean, it's not,
no one has done anything for a long time there, and
nobody's been,
see why.
yeah, nobody's been knocking down the door to buy that piece of property because it's got great building sites on it and stuff.
Right, right.
Excuse me, Sam? Don't we have a deadline to meet before the parcel goes on the market? Then a flatlander like me with a bunch of money can come in and do what they want because they have enough money to do what they want? And that'll piss me off because I am a flatlander and I don't want to see that happen here.
We have a purchase and sale that is through December 2019. So that's the time frame we're working under right now.
So you have another 10 months is what you have.
With this agreement, yeah.
You got more, you?
No, I'd say they're not really going to do what they want because of the way the land is zoned. So it's, I wouldn't say somebody's going to come with a bunch of money and do whatever they want up there. The town has restrictions on what can happen even if somebody bought the land.
260 acres in Dummerston, right? You know,
It's a nice flat.
except for the terrain, you can get 26 parcels out of it.
There's a nice flat building spot.
Well,
That's probably not very likely.
no, probably not. But then if someone bought it and built a house, then they have a right to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you plan on keeping this in current use? Or does it come out of current use? And
We have no plans to take it out of current use. We have to update the management plan.
the other thing is, what does this do to the value of that land? Is it going to stay on the books as the same?
You would get the same taxes.
I couldn't get an answer from our listers, but it was kind of left up to whether we wanted to grieve it or not, but we have no plans to do that. We
Because,
don't
I mean,
see the value changing.
Well, you don't see the value changing yet, but I mean, down the road, you know, you could, if you get the approval and stuff like that, you could grieve this and get this saying, well, it's conserved land now, so it's not worth as much money, and, you know, we want it changed.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's no precedent for anything being appraised at a lower value than the current use or the use value appraisal. So we're not thinking that that would be any different for us.
Part of our fundraising plan is to raise that money to pay the taxes every year and to set up an endowment fund so that that's covered in the same way that Putney Mountain Association does it. We're trying to do it, follow their lead. They pay all the taxes on their land, the Pinnacle pays the taxes on their land, and we intend to do the same. This is not to take money away from the town. We're not asking for money from the town. We're not taking money away from the town.
I'll just leave it with this, Sam. You know, and I do appreciate the fact that you're trying to conserve land. I mean, it's you know, it's a great endeavor. However, I'm not willing to. I don't think I'm gonna give you my support tonight. You got 10 months. Maybe you could talk to the landowner to give you an extra couple months to look at this. I would suggest if I was sitting here again next year, which I won't be, that you'd come in with more diversity on your board. I feel that, you know, right now that's land that could be sold on the open market. Someone could buy it. They could use it for what they want for within the bounds of the conservation zoning district. And then they can make a decision as a private owner whether they want people to hunt or not hunt. You know, that's not my, you know, that's what. But I think without a more diverse group on your board, then to me, that could become a more restrictive use and never change. You know, whether it happens or not, I don't know, but to me, it's a possibility, and I'm not willing to take that risk if you have time.
More restrictive than,
I don't think your board is diverse enough to determine who's going to hunt there, who's going to hike there, who's going to camp there, when they're going to do it, if they're safe, if they're egregious. I mean, it doesn't sell with me right now. I just don't
We
get it.
have room for 12 people on our board, and we've moved it up. So we have 6 people on the board now, and we're looking for people.
And I think that's fantastic. I mean, I think for myself, if it was like that, I would be much more comfortable.
Sure.
You know, knocking out 287 acres.
Yep.
Is that right?
yeah.
You know, because that's kind of in perpetuity, right? If I could get my multi-syllable words correct. So that's a big deal to me, to chop that off from any future owner owning that land.
Yeah. And we you know, knowing that parcel, as I do, and the history of it kind of speaks for itself. It seems like of any parcel in Dummerston, that's a good one to say, not likely to be used for development, probably not a good idea.
Right.
And the fact, again, that it's adjoins another parcel at the ridge, and it's the terminus of the Putney Mountain, and there's this possibility for ridgetop to river shore conservation. That seems like the right use for it in my mind. And you know, people, we can disagree on that, but I would say that since we've had to grab this opportunity and move quickly, I think that's the explanation for the lack of diversity. We you know, in another year, we would be much more diverse.
But again, that's sort of, you know, not really the right way to come to us the day before, you know.
Granted.
To say. So I mean, we got.
We didn't want to come to you.
I understand that. And
We
I think
tried to get by without avoiding that, and then at the last minute we realized we had to.
What I will do, to say is, because I feel strongly about that, I do not want this to become a 287 acre, you know, good old boy network with 6 people on a board. You know, I'm not going to make a move to like say I would suggest we don't support you. I'm just going to say I'm not going to support a letter to go out tomorrow afternoon for myself.
I've got another question for you. Is there a sign up right now for where you're going to have the trailhead? So is there going to be?
Yes,
And how many parking areas?
4.
Again, that would be, you know, if we found that there were always 4 cars in there, then there's space to make it deeper.
Because like I was telling you yesterday, there was people that had asked me on the road about how many, you know, where are people going to turn around if there's, you know, no room to turn around and going up the road and.
So it's a 60-foot wide access lane that comes down to Camp Barton Road there from the parcel, and so there's room to pull in, park, and turn around and come back out to the road. So and it could go, you know, as deep. If it needed to go deeper than 4 parking spaces, it could. I mean, there's room there. We're not anticipating.
Oh, you open it up to all the hunters and don't have poster signs up there, you may get more people than you think you're going to get.
In which case, we might get funding to do more.
Right. But no, you did say there's going to be a sign there to say this is the trailhead or the entrance to the.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's going to be the one by Pletcher, you said, yeah.
And the trail will go up from that.
So I'm impressed with the plans that you've talked about, having it open, trying to be very inclusive of the community and very open, and your commitment to, you know, work with people about hunting. I'm pleased. I had heard a rumor that every tree was going to be sacred and there wasn't going to be any more forest management. It was just going to be. So I'm pleased that it's going to be kept in current use and you're still going to have a forest management plan.
Absolutely.
So this has been a very good meeting for me to hear these plans. I still don't, looking around, my sense is, I don't know, we need 3 votes to get a letter of approval tonight. And I'm not sure my sense is, I don't feel 3 votes here, but I'm not sure. Anyone can interrupt me. But maybe coming back in that time. But I'd also suggest that that you might not, if we vote, I don't want you to get turned down, because I think that the negative press of a vote not in favor sends more of a message than.
I think, we could confer, but I think we're somewhat obligated to put you to the question because we've been strongly advised by.
I think we could let them know that the select board decided not to take a vote on it, if that's what the select board decides.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I would suggest to you that in less than a week now, we're having town meeting. And there is a tradition of impeaching presidents and all sorts of things that go on under other business. And were you to bring this up, I think you'd probably find very receptive court of opinion there that you might find useful in this application.
Yeah.
See, you have, there was a deadline though for tomorrow, or that can be extended out, or what's the story, I guess, on that deadline?
We've gotten some kind of mixed messages.
Yes.
We've heard some information today that they wanted us to be here, they want us to do this, and so.
The deadline about tomorrow is the day that the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board staff sends their recommendations to the Board of Directors. On March 15th, we're invited to present to the Board of Directors, and they make their decision that day.
So we could surprise them with some news from town meeting at that point, I guess. I don't know, if that will have an impact, but it's worth a shot.
Mm-hmm. So I also acknowledge that we've had several letters from public very much in support of this project. And I'm not going to give everyone 5 minutes to talk about their support, but if someone has a burning desire to speak for a minute or so on this.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, you got it.
Okay, I'm Bill Johnson, for those of you who might not know me, and I'm the signee of the letter in your hands from the Conservation Commission.
Yes.
So my comments
Okay.
are from the Conservation Commission, and in full disclosure, there's 2 other members here with me, Mary Ellen herself and Ed.
And we
I don't know if there's any more around the
recused
corner.
ourselves from that discussion.
But the Conservation Commission obviously is very much interested in this project and keeping in close contact, and particularly on behalf of the town. Our interest will be on behalf of the town and not necessarily just on behalf of the newly formed Deer Run Commission. But to see that the town's conservation interest and the regional interest as well, because we collaborate with the conservation commissions in nearby towns. We're very cognizant of the largest state park of New Hampshire, right nearby, Pisgah. In fact, I grew up when that was still all private land, and I've followed its transition into the largest state park in New Hampshire. And I see all of the recreation benefits to the community of the tri-state area that go into that state park every day, year-round. Okay, that was more than 30 seconds.
That was close. That was pretty good. Yes. Carolyn Mayo Brown.
Thank you. Putney Mountain Association was in contact with the Deer Run project initially and was invited to participate. And many of the board members walked the property, considered the project and so on, were invited to join the board of the Conservancy, but at that time, and with the heavy workload on the volunteers in Putney Mountain, decided that it was better left in the hands of those most passionate in the Dummerston area. So although, Hugh, it may appear that it's a very tight group of neighbors who are doing this, I think the reach has been broader, and certainly into Putney and Newfane. I just wanted to make that point, that it's not as insular as it may appear to you at this point.
She said most passionate. That would be me.
Yes, would you like to be recognized?
Simple Dummerston resident and taxpayer living on the same parcel of land for 34 years. As development happened on Stickney Brook Road, we no longer see many animals that we saw at one time. This would be in my neighborhood. This is the West River Valley. Way back in 1869, there's nothing on the map in that area. And if you look at what our wonderful people discovered 2 years ago, there's still nothing in that area. It's wonderful. It's a miracle. There's nothing up there. The animals could stay there. It wouldn't be like my road.
Excuse me, I didn't hear your name.
Judy Anello. Passionate one. Sorry, people.
Good candidate for the Conservation Commission. Okay. Yes, Jean Newell.
Since the Lesters were mentioned, I would like to reiterate that my questions from Sam were not questions that a lister can ask or answer because it was for the future. So I want the listers to be shown that we were doing our job correctly.
So noted.
Okay?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Farwell.
One comment that has nothing to do with anything else anybody has said. The best carbon sequestration known to man is a healthy forest, uninterrupted, a large patch of uninterrupted forest. So that's all I have to say.
All right, anyone else for their 30 seconds? Okay, so I don't see anyone making a motion for the, so.
Thank you for your time.
I think we're.
You want to see a motion, or do you
want a no position at this time?
Yeah, no,
We're willing to take a...
So, no position at this time?
I'll be ready.
So, thank you for coming.
Thanks for your time. I won't be on the recording while we have to talk to anybody. Expand.
Thanks.
I know most of you are here for our truck bids that have come in, so. Thank you all for coming. You're very welcome, and thanks for coming.
Comments pretty appropriate.
Thank you.
We'll bring it up in that discussion.
We can invite Geraldine back?
Yes, we can invite Geraldine back.
Geraldine.
Yes.
Would you like to join us again? To unrecuse yourself. Let's see, where were we?
Did somebody bring a bomb? It's pretty bad.
You want to go until 7 and then have a break for our informational meeting? Claudia, you okay waiting until 7 for our informational meeting? Okay.
I'm comfortable by hand.
Okay.
My feet all day.
So, let's see. So we have our road foreman here, and want to review those truck bids?
And I misplaced my stuff back there. Yes. Okay, so the low price was the 133, which is Patriot Westminster Freightliner. And that is the one that I recommend going with. It's a local dealer. We're going to get the 7-year truck warranty and the 7-year engine warranty. As you can see it in the pamphlet, it was 133,723, and we are going to get the option of the new plow. So they ended up taking off 3,000 or adding 3,000 to the trade, and so that's where we came up with that 130,723, and then the plow and the total would be that 136 or 73. This truck will have the same transmission, the same motor as the Western Star, the last two we've got. It just has a different cab.
Party about through. I'm there.
And I believe it's worth an extra $9,000.
So that's your recommendation, everyone?
So this is, I know, I guess this is replacement 2010 International.
Yes.
This is a Freightliner. Is that what we brought?
We bought a Western Star last time.
Oh, if you want, well, you gotta come down and fix it.
And you're pretty confident about that trade-in price?
Yes, they did come and look at the truck, and yeah, it should be good unless something happens to the truck.
Do we want to award this thing?
I think if we say, because this would be voted on at town meeting, we could say this is the truck that we think.
I'll just make a motion. I move that we approve the purchase of the Patriot, or the Freightliner from Patriot Westminster for the total cost of $137.23 with a used plow contingent upon the article being passed at town meeting.
Second that.
All right, any discussion?
Is it the 133 or 136?
136.
It's actually 130.
Oh, I'm sorry.
136,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
With the plow.
With the plow, right. Yeah, sorry. Makes amend my 136,470.
I'll still second it. It's a little lower.
Okay.
So is there any timing that we have to keep in
No,
consideration?
right, the ordering the cabin chassis takes a long time, so they've actually ordered it. And then they just sell it to a different town if they didn't get approved. I told them we have a capital fund, but it still totally depends on town meeting, because they're only allowed to get so many trucks per year. And of course, the earlier you get in, the more. Of course, we might get the cabin chassis in before July, but we just don't pay for it until after July. And the idea is to get the actual complete truck before the next winter.
Okay, so we've got a motion and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so given, if the voters approve this next Tuesday, then on Tuesday afternoon, you can call and place the order.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had like a couple other things. Generators are getting serviced in March. We're doing some weighing, getting the snow away from the road, so when it does warm up, hopefully we won't have as bad mud. And if we get bigger storms, we have a place to put the snow. And we did have a couple bigger pines that we have to get removed by a tree company that one's leaning a little more, I believe, than it was, and the other one split, and they're both up on Park Lot and Road, and they are leaning towards a person's house and garage. So it's one of, we're hoping Friday is the day for those. And, yeah, but other than that, we didn't have, you know, not much damage. So.
What do you think this tonight?
The two one-tons are working until like 9, and then everybody's coming back in at 4.
Thank you, Jim.
And they're calling for like 4 inches.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll be cleaned up and ready for school. School bus.
We better let you go.
It's not too bad yet.
Any other questions for Lee?
Just, are you going to stick around for this informational meeting?
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Was there anything under correspondence for information that you wanted to go over? Okay. So under correspondence for discussion, we have the draft findings of the audit, R.H.R. Smith and Company, and the 70 pages. There were no red flags, there were no findings of
It was a good report.
It was a good report, yes.
Well, with that, I make a motion that we sign the audit findings and acceptance letter.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye, opposed? All right, so we'll sign that and give it.
And I think that's a real vote of confidence in our town employees and
Yes.
the way books are kept and, yeah.
Right.
I felt really good about that.
I'd expect, you know, we've come to expect this.
It's good.
All right, let's see. Well, we've got 5 minutes. How about we do the liquor commission? We'll just jump around a little bit.
Want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. I move that we recess as a select board and reconvene as a liquor board.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Here we are as the Liquor Commission, and we have application, second-class license to sell malt and convenience beverages from Campfires out on Route 5. What would you like to do?
I looked through that quickly, but does that, when we do that, you know how they have that trailer, that good-looking red trailer, the Whetstone trailer they haul around? Does that encompass that trailer too? Is it for the premises, like so they can bring that trailer in, or? I'm just curious.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
It doesn't specify that. Oh, okay, description of premises. Yeah, it says that the store, one-story building.
Okay.
I don't think it involves
doesn't
that
count the
trailer.
trailer.
I don't think so.
We need to license that trailer.
Yeah. Bring it all over town.
I think the trailer operates out of the Whetstone Brewery, you know, as opposed to Campfires.
Campfires.
They've
Parked there
They park and serve food and stuff. At least they did last summer a couple times.
at
At
Campfires.
Campfires.
Because they own the place.
Yeah. So they would bring it up and park it. So that way people would come and get burgers and hot dogs. And I did ask the guy about the booze one time, and he said they hadn't got it taken care of yet. So I didn't know if that was going to take care of it.
Yeah. Don't know. I'll keep a lookout.
I'll be careful what I order.
Find out.
Well, I would move that we approve the request for the renewal of their liquor license, this application.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, it calls for our signatures.
And is that our only one?
Yes, so we can recess or...
I would move that we recess as the liquor board and reconvene as the select board.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so it's about 7 o'clock. How about we do our informational meeting as by statute required in advance of Australian ballot vote.
So I would move that we recess as a select board, right? We have to recess our select board meeting
Let's do that.
and begin our informational meeting.
Great.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, here we are. Informational meeting.
All right, well, so this, I guess I'll jump in here for now. So this is really for the bond article, right? This is the statutory required informational meeting because we're having an Australian ballot on bond vote on March 5th. Is that
This is, yes.
in the 10 days prior to the vote?
And,
So,
let's see. Yeah, this is information for Article 2.
yeah.
That will be on the ballot.
Right. So we've read that article several times. Is it required to read it?
I think so. That's part of official.
Okay.
And
Can you recite it by heart yet, Hugh?
Almost. But I'm good at forgetting things quickly, so. All right, so this is good. So what's going to happen for those of you who are reviewing, town meeting day, when you go in to do your vote, there's going to vote on the Article 1, which is the officers for the town, and something different that will be seen when you go into the voting booth this year will be at Article 2. That'll be by an Australian ballot, and that's going to be for a bond vote for the towns of Dummerston and Putney to jointly purchase a gravel pit, a 32-acre gravel pit. Legally, it has to be done by Australian ballot, and that's why you're going to see it when you go into the to the voting booths between 8 o'clock a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on March 5th, unless you come to the town office and get your ballot early, in which case you may vote as well.
And this will be at the elementary school.
Okay. Yeah. So, Article 2, the vote on the following article will be by Australian ballot as required by law. Explanation of the article. The town of Dummerston seeks voter approval to incur bonded indebtedness for the purpose of financing the joint purchase with the town of Putney of the 32-acre plus or minus Renewal gravel pit in the town of Dummerston for the purpose of extraction of gravel for use in constructing and maintaining their highways and other lawful purposes, for a purchase price not to exceed $2 million, shared equally with each town paying $1 million towards the purchase. The question to be voted on will be as follows. Shall the general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Dummerston in the amount not to exceed $1 million, bearing an interest rate not to exceed 4.25% for a term not to exceed 25 years, be issued for the purpose of purchasing the 32-acre plus or minus Renewal gravel pit in the town of Dummerston, Vermont, jointly with the town of Putney. In favor of this bond issue, mark an X in the square, yes. If opposed to this bond issue, mark a cross in the square, no. So there's one note in that 4.25%, we have a bond repayment schedule of 25 years that has a rate, I believe it's at 3.84%. And the only reason we have 4.25 just because we didn't know what would happen with interest rates. So it probably will not, it will be whatever the current interest rate is in August or prior to August when we close on this, if it's approved by the voters. So our share of the $2 million purchase is $1 million. It's a 25-year bond at interest rate to be determined, but 3.84% is the current rate on that. Okay. Where would you like to go from here?
How about some of the high points?
Okay. In case I become a history teacher. So, what's the best way to do this? I'm going to bring this around and not fall over if they put it on the TV here. Can you get that in the picture, or is it too small for you to get in there? Okay. So this is essentially a cost analysis we did of purchasing this gravel pit. The gravel pit, so some of the highlights on this, we have the 25-year bond repayment schedule here, and it just goes down, and that's obviously a set figure. What we have figured into the cost of operating this gravel pit just goes across the top column. So we have administrative cost, which begins with $1,000, and then the notes are that's really for, we have some obligations to do several reports throughout the year, so we'll do those reports. We'll have a porta-john down there for Putney and Dummerston crews to use, they need it. Some fees that are included, and then also we continue to put money away for the reclamation fund. When this pit eventually closes, we'll take care of that. As you come across, the estimated materials in this pit right now are 100,000 yards of bank run gravel. We have 600,000 yards of ledge in the combined gravel pits of the 32-acre plus or minus gravel pit. We have 200,000 yards of sand in the gravel pits. So what our intention is we'll draw down that bank run gravel in conjunction with some ledge for about the first 14 years to about 2033. That bank run gravel at that point will be exhausted, and we're going to go to a 100% ledge product. So during those first 13 years, there'll be some screening, minor crushing, and then blasting somewhere within 5-year intervals just to bring up to the amount of materials that the two towns need. And I'll back up one there. Our use of material is 5,000 pounds of gravel per town. In yards. Yep. 5,000 yards of gravel per town and 4,000 yards of winter sand per town as we go through that. So as we exhaust that, then we'll go to a 100% ledge product. That'll be, the budget is included in that for the blasting and crushing. So there'll be a bit of an expense increase there as we go down, and then we'll blast all of our material as we go. We have you can see the ledge product decreases as we use it. I've only brought this chart out 50 years, but 50 years from now, we're still going to have 210,000 yards of ledge estimated remaining in the gravel pit. As we come across, we right now currently draw our sand out of the Carpenter pit. We're going to continue to do that till it's exhausted. We have a favorable pricing on that. And then when that runs out, we'll move over to drawing from that 200,000 yards of sand that we have in the Renewal pit. Coming across, we have pricing. So we have prices if we purchase the gravel pit and if we don't purchase the gravel pit. So for the first, the first 14 years, you're going to see slight increases in our budget, which is going to correspond to approximately a $20 tax increase per $100,000 of assessed value. Now, as you go down after the first 6 years, when we estimate if those pits stay as a commercial gravel pit, and we would be buying a different product, we're going to have our first spike in our projected cost without buying a gravel pit. At that point, so to back up, your taxes will be 20 per thousand for about the first 6 years. When that spike happens, estimated taxes per 100,000 will drop down to about $12 increase, and this is only for the highway budget material issue. Come down, this is our biggest thing. At the 15th year mark, when we estimate the sand to be exhausted where we currently purchase our sand, we're going to have our first spike for buying commercial sand, which is estimated, I think, at $16.15 per yard that year. So our gravel budget is going to jump from $17,679 to roughly $64,000 plus per year. So that's the huge jump by owning this gravel pit, is we're now going to own that product and not have to put that outlay for commercial sand. At that point, you're going to start seeing savings in our yearly budget. And that's where you'll see your taxes. That's the first year your taxes will actually start to decrease for any rate as we buy the material. And that increase steadily increases throughout the life of the gravel pit. We're going to break even with this gravel pit. All costs will be recouped at year 23. So prior to even paying off the bond, we're now going to start actually generating. We're not going to make money because we can't make money, but you're going to see a positive flow as far as our budget's decreasing to significant levels. And it really comes down to $1 million, several $1 million in savings as we get down in the out years on that. You know, the biggest takeaways from this is that we're going to own the material. So we're no longer be, as far as market fluctuations and pricing for material, we're not going to be affected by that. We will have established a working relationship with Putney. We'll own the material. It's a set cost for our budget and all these out years. So the real takeaways are reduced trucking, reduced manpower, person power, labor and fuel. No longer subject to market spikes for as far as where the sand jumps at such a high rate. We'll recoup that amount there because we own this product. We estimate owning this gravel pit 50 years here. The sand will eventually run out in that gravel pit. We budgeted for re-permitting costs to actually capture more sand out of that gravel pit. And if we do that, it'll bring it out into the out years. But this is just the initial 50-year outlay, which shows your taxes going down significantly within the years that I mentioned, and material lasting us, you know, for not us, but for future generations as well. So I think the biggest takeaway also is that we have an opportunity to provide for the town in the future. Not an opportunity you get every day to like look at for the futures. I hope.
Do we get to clap?
That was a good job.
Now can I take a breath? Is that my last official act? I hope that was an explanation. I tried to run through it. It was really quick, but there's the information.
I do have a question. You know, at town meeting, people are going to be able to ask questions about the gravel pit now?
Yes.
And when do they do it? At the end, when it's other business? Or when you're talking about...
So there are 2 articles related to the gravel pit.
Okay.
Articles 3 and Article 4. And those are, in the event Article 2 passes, shall the voters authorize the select board to pay the first year repayment on the bond or notes from the capital fund not to exceed $50,000. So that
would probably be it.
Yeah, and then Article 4 is if Article 2 passes, shall the voters authorize the select board to enter into an interlocal agreement with the town of Putney to own and operate the 32-acre gravel pit. So I think will provide some opportunity.
So I have 2 related questions. One is, would it be useful to have a word with the town moderator, letting her know that we would be open to conversation about this during those 2 articles? Or is that just assumed?
I'm not sure how much conversation.
No, I don't mean
want to
conversation,
have.
but questions, that's when questions can come up, as opposed to...
Hopefully they've already decided. That's why we had 2 informational meetings, article in the paper. So we have about 20 articles to get through.
Okay, so we're not looking for it. I mean, I thought that was Lee's question.
Right.
Will there be a time when people can ask questions?
I think that they're going to
They're going to
come up.
Yep.
That's when they'll come up with.
And that's when they'll come up. But
All right, then my other question is there any thought to have a table as people enter where there would be someone who would be able to answer questions for people, individuals who have questions?
we were thinking of actually having you up front.
Well, I'll be sitting up at the table. But, you know.
I think we could take these charts. We have these.
Right, but I mean, somebody sitting at a table to answer questions.
I don't think we're going to have anyone sitting at a table to answer questions. I don't know who we would get.
So is there a reason not to?
Yes. Let's see, we can talk a little bit about the issue there, but it's a little gray.
Once you're in the polling place, I'm not really sure if you're supposed to be.
Well, I wasn't saying anyone that had an opinion about how people should vote, just to answer if people have questions.
Actually,
But-
no, I think we do have an opinion on how people should vote.
I think we should
think-
state that tonight, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I
Vote yes.
Yeah. So the board is in favor. This week, the board has, over the past several months, just as we've looked into this possibility and done mountains of research, we think this is a very wise investment for the town. And so we hope and pray that people will vote yes on this.
Okay.
So to find an impartial person to sit at a table, I don't think we're going to find.
I just thought that our main concern was people who are not educated on this going into the voting booth and being surprised by a large amount of money and just sort of automatically not voting the way we would encourage them to. And so it is our last chance to answer someone's questions. But
I do
if it's
think at
not
town-
appropriate,
Well, I think at town meeting, that can be stressed also. I mean, when they're asking their questions.
yeah, but people come to vote,
Just
do
to
not
vote.
stay
Right.
at town
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
There's a whole slew of people that just come in to vote and then they leave. So
Okay.
that's more what I'm thinking about, not the people that are there to ask a question.
Yeah.
And as Zeke said, that's not really the time to get into a long series of questions during town meeting, and people are, waiting for lunch.
Right.
So anyway, I just thought,
Yeah, we've tried to get, the information out.
no,
So
definitely we
hope
have.
that people that will be coming to cast ballots have got an idea of what this is about. So
There are a lot of clueless people out there now right now. So we'd like to think that we've educated them, but
I think we have people coming are going to, I have confidence that they're going to know about this.
okay.
What do you think, Claudia?
I don't know, it's not a trick question on the ballot. That's all I want to know. I've, taken driver's license tests and thought, had to think about something twice and realized, wait a minute, this is a trick question, and so is it, I don't know if I've read what's on the actual ballot when I walk into the little, place to vote, and just, is it really clear and very understandable so that
It will look exactly like
It's right there.
in your book.
Right in your book.
That's how it's going to be
That's the
stated.
ballot as it's going to be presented to the voters, so
Does it look tricky though? I mean,
that's the question.
I don't know.
It's a big dollar sign.
Well,
it's kind of
unfortunately,
like, should we buy the gravel pit or not?
Right,
yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
Well, I know, unfortunately, when the lawyers started wordsmithing this,
Right.
this is what we came up with.
Yeah.
I agree. I wish you could just say that. Should we buy the gravel pit? Maybe we could have put that in
With
parentheses.
the short story.
Should we buy the gravel pit? It's a good idea in parentheses.
Yeah, that's what needs to be in parentheses. It's a good idea.
Well, keep our resources local.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That's been my big bone to pick for many years.
No, that's been our challenge, and that's going to, like I said, to somebody who has written to me, if you have the information, then this is, if you just see the $1 million and you don't know anything about it, I have no idea what you're going to do. If you have the details, it's probably a pretty simple decision for you to effectively agree with the long-term planning. And that's our challenge, and how you get word out, we've tried.
We've got the views.
We've got a few people wrote us articles for the paper.
Yep.
We had the article in the Brown Reformer.
Yeah, I know. But
I know.
there are people who are not paying attention to the things that we're paying attention to. I'm picturing a poster. Keep our resources local. Vote yes.
Is that
we
something
need
that
to tell people how to vote.
citizen
What?
Is that something that an independent?
Yes,
Oh,
you
sure.
could, yeah.
An independent citizen could do that, but your board, the select board couldn't.
Not in the polling
We couldn't do it in
place.
the polling place.
It'd have to be outside, right outside.
An independent citizen couldn't do it in the polling place, they have to do it
Right.
outside.
Right.
Outside.
But letters are welcome. You know, we've had some, but that's a challenge. I mean, I ask myself that at home. Like, if I was not on the select board, would I even know what's going on about this? And I'm not sure. You know, other than maybe if I picked up the Reformer, I don't
Yeah,
think it made
I don't regularly read I don't subscribe to the Reformer. I've seen so much misinformation in there. I'm leery of anything I read in there.
Yeah.
I do get the Dummerston Views because it gets mailed out to all of us. I do read that, but I don't regularly go to the Dummerston post office. I come here to pay my taxes and that's it. I don't read all the notices on the bulletin board every week. And I don't watch you guys on TV unless somebody says, you ought to have seen what happened. So I would be oblivious except for the fact that Roger Jositis sent me a letter as a past abutter and person interested in the process. And I am not here as representative of the location that I live in, you know, the rest of the residents on that street. And I have no idea if any of those other people were ever notified. So, 2 that I asked, one is very elderly and couldn't remember, and the other one's like, I don't think so. So I find that kind of interesting.
They should have all received letters about the
DRB.
The DRB hearing.
That's what I was asking them about, because I was in attendance that also.
Yeah, that was.
I couldn't remember having received, the 2 people that I spoke to specifically, directly, couldn't remember.
Because they extended it out, and I know they said they definitely did that, your area.
Would it be appropriate, I guess, even to ask Lori if we just sent out this, just a note saying the select board is recommending a vote of yes on this article, and this is a copy of the article.
I made an excerpt from your great article on the views that wasn't saying how people should vote. It was just saying, saying, you know, Dummerston voters will want to be informed about, you know, and...
Did you send that out?
No, because I didn't know, you know, I didn't know what we were allowed to do. I sent it to Maria, who said we should, you know, maybe put something in the town reports or whatever, and I didn't hear back what happened to that.
But then you said you didn't want anything to go out until the Views article came out.
Well, I said, because it referenced your article,
Right.
and I had asked when the Views was coming out, and I didn't get a response until somebody said, well, it should be in your mailbox tomorrow. So, you know, the timing.
How about a letter to the editor, another newspaper letter? We could ask Lori to.
But again, that means that somebody has to read that. I'm talking about something, I think we need something at town meeting for those people who come to vote, and or for Lori to send something out in the, you know, there are a lot of people on that.
The email
list.
Yeah.
So if you guys feel that it would be appropriate, I've already written something, and I could send it to Lori and say, you know, the select board would ask you to include this in your next.
That would be great.
Which is hopefully before
Also
town meeting.
go up on the website, perhaps.
So, Geraldine, does that say the select board is in favor of this?
I can read it to you.
Because I think we wanted to say
We
that.
need to say that, yeah.
You know, the select board is.
Be really clear.
Right, be very clear.
I don't think that it said that.
You're recommending this as a smart move of resource use within the town.
I don't think just information about the gravel pits. And I mean, I think you need to let it be known that the select board is.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's just vote yes.
Yeah. Select board recommends a vote of yes on Article 2.
Well, I could add that. The final vote, As a Dummerston resident, you will want to be prepared for the vote on March 5th on the $1 million purchase of the 32-plus minus acre gravel pit on Route 5 with a 25-year bond in a joint interlocal agreement with the town of Putney. A yes vote will ensure that Dummerston has the resources we need to maintain our roads for the long term. That's the second sentence. Estimated tax increase would be in the $20 range per $100,000 of assessed value for the first 5 years, dropping to $10 per 100,000 range from year 6 to 14. After that, taxes would decrease for the highway fund each year based on loan reduction and estimated budgetary increases if we had to commercially purchase material. For more detail, read Hugh Warden's article in the recent Views article and watch the BCTV recording of the February 13 information meeting. By locally sourcing from an already established pit, we will minimize our need to haul material, thus reducing future costs of trucking, fuel, and labor. Known costs of highway funding will also stabilize our budget as we own the material and will be protected from increased commercial cost of material. We have a rare opportunity to secure a future need for many years to come. The final vote of the land purchase, bond, and interlocal agreement will be by Australian ballot on town meeting day.
Great. Yeah. Excellent.
Honestly, if we could ask her to send that out, this is from the select board. And as a standalone document, I mean, I think that's pretty
I mean,
good.
I took it directly from your article.
And I don't know if we want to say that last thing, the vote will be Article 2 at, let's try to just leave it like it is.
I think it said it right at the very beginning, it was Article, it said Article 2.
Oh, it did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if she would send that out as the select board would like you, or however we word it, but this is, I'm forwarding this for the select board. Something
On
like
behalf.
that. On behalf of the select board.
Great.
That would be fantastic.
I will do that.
Okay.
Anything else, Claude? Do you have anything else for the informational meeting you want to bring up?
Well, just a couple of questions. I just wanted a point of clarification. The towns of Putney and Dummerston were the ones who got the Act 250 permitting, right?
Say that.
The towns of Putney and Dummerston are the ones who followed through and got the Act 250 permitting originally.
Dummerston and Putney each put in a specific amount of money to fund the permit, the whole entire permitting process for it.
Should, God forbid, something happen and that this purchase agreement not work and another commercial venture comes in, do they have to reapply for, or does the Act 250 permitting that Dummerston and Putney?
It goes with the property.
It goes with the property.
That's why all we had to do is we had to go to the Dummerston Review Board to make some minor adjustments on the years and the right of way. But the Act 250 goes with the property. That's what I'm told.
And what we did with the DRB is null and void if it does not pass.
Are we ready to end our informational meeting?
Okay. I'll move that we adjourn the information meeting and reconvene the select board meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. Let's see. We are getting close to the end here. We've got to review and assign the articles for town meeting.
Speak with the ground pit for.
Oh, sure, right. In my work to get
no, it's not going to end for a while.
Guess I was
So,
getting hungry.
yeah, I know. So we have the purchase and sales contract that was finalized. There is one pen and ink correction that we will have, and it's on page 9, the signature page, and that is just where they have buyer town of Dummerston twice. The second one should be buyer town of Putney. So, Louis, do you have anything to add from?
No, I thought it was pretty good. When I went through it, and my problem is I didn't catch the Dummerston at the end, the last page. So.
I think we can thank Karen, the Putney town manager, for that one. Yeah. So, I would make a motion that we sign the purchase and sales contract, and then authorize one of our members to be named to stop by Bob Fisher's office and sign the official document.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? I think Hugh would be.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, your name should be on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your legacy.
Very well. I will hopefully try to catch him tomorrow. If not, I'll catch him on, I'll catch him like Friday, so I'll catch him.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The last update I'm going to give you for this thing is the interlocal agreement. It's actually fairly well drafted out. It's in a good form. It's certainly in a good enough form to bring to town meeting if someone wants to see it and see what it's going to look like. But I suggested to Bob this morning that we should just kind of stop until after town meeting, and then after town meeting, then really based on some discussions I think you and I have had and with Lee, it'd be worthwhile to, and Bob has brought this up, to probably sit down with Bob, Larry, Lewis, Lee, Brian, the Putney Road Foreman, and whoever they bring as their representation, and talk to details. I think we'll probably need a few more details in that than we initially thought we needed in that, just based on the workload and who's going to do specific things. I think we need to probably put that in black and white. So that was a suggestion. And Bob did not, he was going to call me back today, but he must not have caught up with Larry. So I would suggest that that's something you start trying to tee up now so you could have that Wednesday or Thursday or Friday after.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Okay. That's it.
Great. Okay. All right, so now we can go to articles, right?
Have a good night.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee. All right, so page 66 in your town report. And this is, we usually take turns in Article 2 is taken care of. So it will be a paper ballot. Article 3 and 4 on that.
I'll make the motion for both of them.
Yeah, okay. Takes us over to Article 6.
We're going to determine who's going to do the second one.
The second one, Article 4?
No, I thought we usually did who's going to move in second. My other book has both names.
I'd say whoever, it's sort of like the game shows where you hit the buzzer. So
Whoever gets there fastest.
Yeah, keep us moving. Who'd like to take the Article 5 for the auditor's report?
I'll do that one. Nice and short.
Well, okay, you want to do 6 also, since you're...
You have
the microphone?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
That's another short one.
All right, who wants to do the capital fund?
I'll do that.
Okay. All right, let's see here.
And we also just remember whose last meeting it is so that we make sure we give enough to her.
Yeah.
There's enough on it.
So you're going to do 8, 2?
Who wants to do the
Well, you're not done until after town meeting.
No,
Who'd like to do the dump
articles.
truck?
You want me to do that one?
Sure.
Which one?
Maria's going to do the dump truck, Article 8. How would you like to do Article 9, just so?
Fine.
Okay. Carolyn. Heat pumps. Oh, would you like to do heat pumps?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so Article 11 and Article 12, that's, if you don't mind, I'll do those two. Structures Fund. Who's feeling like doing a Structures Fund?
I'll do it.
Okay, Hugh?
That'll give me 3 years of it, right?
Evening Star Grange.
I can do that one.
Okay.
And they are doing lunch at the town meeting.
That's good to know.
Yes.
The Thai food, did you get that?
No, I didn't, no, no,
darn.
sorry.
Green Mountain Camp, sometimes they do that from the
I was
floor.
gonna say, doesn't Mark do that?
Yeah.
Okay. If not, should we have somebody?
I can, or Maria, you've got the microphone already, why don't you
Okay,
do that
so-
as a backup?
Okay, all right.
Okay,
I'll do the fire department.
okay. I suspect that someone from the Historical Society will.
Well, yeah, they should do that. I mean, that's their.
If they don't, I'll be a backup since I just did the one before, but
Okay. And then the Sevens, they
have to do their own.
do that one, yeah.
And I don't think we need a backup for that because they don't.
Okay, so it looks like everybody's got. Buddy, we should have 20 articles all the time because everyone. Plenty of.
So 19, what was 19?
Yeah, 19. That will be Cindy. who
Yeah.
does that. That's where the
Yeah.
great band. Just remember, Cindy has told me in the past that I wrote down on a piece of paper that I stuffed in here. I thought I didn't need it, but rather than to say, to read, to see if the voters will authorize, you say, Madam Moderator, I move that the voters authorize the following capital expenditure.
Okay.
Really?
So she's going to say, read Article 3, and I'm going to say, I move that in the event Article 2, that
Yeah,
seems like
yeah.
the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Does she want to be addressed as Madam Moderator?
she's usually told me that Madam Moderator is fine. You can say Cindy. She answers to either.
So for Article 9, tell me how that gets read?
I would say, Madam Moderator, I move that the voters authorize the following capital expenditures.
I move that the voters,
Yeah. Or I move that we authorize the following capital expenditure. I'll double check with Cindy and I'll get back to you.
Madam Moderator, I move that the voters authorize the following capital expenditure.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be fine.
Okay.
And, Article 7 would be Cindy, I move that we raise the sum of $170,000 through taxes. Let's see. Lewis would say, I move that we accept the auditor's report on the town accounts. So, this is Hugh's last regular meeting, unless we want to call a special one.
Well, between now and Tuesday?
Yeah. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, Hugh.
I think the town's been really lucky to have you working. We certainly got our money, your $500 a year out of you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a learning experience, so it's good.
You've put a lot of time into the last months with this gravel pit
Couple
stuff.
of months,
so,
really.
Yeah. Very much appreciated.
Thanks.
Yeah. And if the write-in campaign is successful, you will.
I'll have to make that decision when the time comes.
It's been, you've been a model select board member. You've really done a great job.
Thanks, I do appreciate that. Yeah.
And we're pleased that you're willing to stay on as sort of our gravel.
Support.
It'll be fun to watch that get finished up. I hope everything goes well on Tuesday. And
Yeah. Should we carry him around a couple times on our shoulders?
Or he's a talented fellow.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Did you bring your,
when
what
we-
instrument do you play with?
Yeah, right.
When we when the camera shuts off, we can break out the champagne.
Okay, there we go. All right.
So, any more business?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll second.